This is Eyewitness News. Now, David Ono, Alan Leva, Dallas Raines, and Rob Fukuzaki with the Southland's #1 news at 5.
And later, a growing trend in the car business. Our consumer specialist explains how a secondhand lease could work for you.
It has been a brutal few months for car manufacturers, declining sales, and it's just as difficult now for consumers who are having a tough time getting loans for the cars they need.
Our consumer specialist, Rick Romero, says there may be a solution by getting a secondhand lease. Rick?
Well, Michelle and Mark, secondhand leases can make a lot of sense, especially with some of the car manufacturers doing away with car leases altogether. A secondhand lease can also be a win-win situation for those who want out of a lease and for those who want into one. Lisa Buyer doesn't like staying in one car for long, so she leases, but not through dealerships. She prefers very short terms and finds them through second-hand leases.
It gives me the opportunity to switch cars more frequently than I would if I was going through a traditional lease.
A second-hand lease is when you take over the lease from someone who no longer wants it. According to Philip Reed, Senior Consumer Advice Editor at Edmunds.com, the process is simple.
You're basically dealing mainly with an individual with the help of one of these companies, which is facilitating the transfer from one person to another.
Tight financing and an increase in the number of resale sites has put the second-hand leasing movement on the fast track. But insiders say consumer anxiety about long-term financing commitments is really driving the trend.
If halfway through you decide you don't want to lease anymore, this can be a huge economic impact.
Reed says, be careful. If you plan to sell your lease, make sure your leasing company allows the transfer and that you won't be responsible for anything after it's complete. And if you're the one picking up the new lease,
make sure that you're not picking up somebody else's poor deal.
If you're buying a second-hand lease, make sure the car has been inspected for damage and you've got a vehicle history report, and that there are no turn-in charges at the end of your lease that you don't expect.
This is set up nicely.
Lisa Buyer couldn't be happier with her new second-hand car or what she had to go through to get it.
It was really just a matter of a couple phone calls and a couple of emails and checking the status online, which to me was just perfect.
Now, most second-hand lease companies allow you to browse the cars for free, but once you're ready to make contact with the seller, you usually pay some combination of fees that cover site registration, credit checks, and to take over the lease. If you're interested in a second-hand lease, simply log on to our website at abc7.com and click on the See It on TV link. Mark and Michelle, back to you.
Okay, thanks a lot.